Hey mamas, and welcome. Let's just start by saying that being a mom entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart, right? If you are a mom and an entrepreneur, we are a different breed, honestly. If you think that you can do this thing called motherhood while simultaneously building a business, you are crazy. But you're my kind of crazy. You are my kind of people, so I'm so grateful to have you here. This is a new channel, so I hope you will subscribe and follow along. My name is Lori Castillo. I am the creator of the Momtrepreneur Planner, helping you master momtrepreneurship. So today I want to talk to you about how I juggle being a mom and an entrepreneur and the things that I do to help me not go completely insane, right? So today I have 8 tips for how I juggle being a mom entrepreneur and how it might be able to help you as well. So let's jump in. Tip number 1. This tip is probably the hardest out of all 8. Number 1, I gave up the guilt. In our society, oftentimes the people closest to us, like our family members, they aid in making us feel guilty for having to choose between our kids and our business. But you don't have to choose between them. You can honestly grow them together, but we build this guilt up within ourselves to make us feel like we have to make that choice on a daily basis. But I'm here to tell you, you don't have to do it. You can run both simultaneously. You can build both, raise both simultaneously. But giving up that guilt is hard. It's almost like a skill that you have to learn. And how do you even do it? How do you give up the guilt? It's really just reframing your mental processes, right? It's just reframing your thoughts and your beliefs around what you can and can't do. It is one of the hardest things I've had to do to give up the guilt, but if you really take into consideration the why are you building your business? For myself, it's essentially for my family, to create a legacy for my family, to create a future for my family. And when I realize what my why is, it's a lot easier to realize that by choosing my business, I am choosing my family. And so making hard decisions between, do I need to pick up the kids from school, or do I need to spend more hours on my business? Sometimes you just have to make those choices. So giving up the guilt, albeit one of the hardest things to do, and I will say it probably never really goes away. You just sort of suppress it and you learn to deal with it. But being able to do that is one of the biggest parts of being able to juggle this crazy life of being a mom and an entrepreneur. All right, here we go. Number 2. If you have followed me long enough, you know that I live my life based on systems. Also, as a mom, I live my life based on routines. Now, I was always the person that said, my life could never be a routine. My life is too crazy. But the honest truth is that my life was crazy because I didn't have a routine. I didn't have those systems implemented in my life. And so what are systems? What are routines that help me? So my routine with my kids, I make sure that we have a morning routine set. We have an evening routine set, right? Like, we eat dinner, we might take a walk or do something fun with the family, and then it's take a bath, brush your teeth, go read books, go to bed. Create these routines within your life. Same thing with your morning routine. And starting with that is going to help you build out the other systems in your life. So there are systems that you can implement for your business. There are some systems that you can implement in your personal life as well. So I have like a grocery ordering, meal planning system, right? So every Sunday while I'm still in bed, I decide what I'm gonna eat for the week. I mean, not me, but like my family is gonna eat for the week in terms of dinner, lunch, anything like that. I just put it in a note in my phone. Now that I understand and know what we're gonna eat for the week, then I determine what do I need to buy. Now, I am a huge fan of grocery ordering services. I have not stepped foot into a grocery store, except maybe a couple times in the last 3 to 4 years. Grocery ordering systems have saved so much time, headache, hassle. You do it if it's right for you. I think if you're a mom entrepreneur, though, it's right for you and you should definitely consider it. Some people say, oh, it's too expensive, there's too many fees, yada, yada. But look, anything that can save me from having to lug my children into a store, have them and my husband and myself throwing random extra crap in the cart, anything that can keep me away from that and the time it takes to do that is a win, right? And so again, every Sunday I plan my meals. I figure out what I need to order from the market throughout the week. As I see that we need stuff or we're missing stuff, I automatically put it into my cart. So that way on Sunday it's already there. I don't have to keep it in my brain. It's not mental weight, which that's a whole other conversation for another day. But I put it into my cart, and almost before I even have to get out of bed, unless I have to check the pantry or the freezer or the fridge, my order's placed and I can go about my day. So this is one of the systems that I implement in my life. Another system is my accounting system. I've gotten to the point where I only pay bills once a month. I get paid twice a month through my businesses. I pay myself twice a month. My husband gets paid twice a month, but I only pay bills once a month. That's enough time because I've created the systems within my accounting or personal accounting to be able to do that by having sinking funds accounts, by having all of our accounts in a single Excel spreadsheet. I know when all of the bills are due, so I pick one single date and I make sure that all the bills are paid in advance if they need to, if their payment date is before that. And I just make sure I'm taking care of it once a month, every month. That's another system in my personal life. Now, in your business, there are so many other systems that you can implement. And the way that I look at systems in your business is these are like operations, processes that if you had to walk away from your business today for some reason, you can almost just hand these processes over to somebody and say, here's what I do. Here's my process for creating my newsletter. Here's my process for creating content. Here's my process for how I handle customer service, for how I accept orders, how I process orders, how I fulfill orders. These are all processes and systems within your business. You also have your accounting processes within your business as well. I know so many of you are like, she keeps talking numbers and I'm not digging this because I know not everybody's a fan of accounting, but let me tell you, you have to learn to love it. You have to learn to make a system out of it. And when you make that system, it just becomes easier. It just becomes part of the process. And by having these systems, the way that I always tell mom entrepreneurs in my circles how this works is if you look at it as gears, right? Gears, turning gears. If you are running a people-based business, you are having to move these gears all the time yourself, right? You're having to turn them. And the problem with people-based businesses is that when you either burn out or heaven forbid something happens to you, the business is done. When you create a systems-based business, you create all of these systems. Again, if something happens to you, you can step away and somebody else can do them for you. So this is why systems within your life and within your business are so incredibly important, and one of the biggest things that I rely on in my life in order to juggle my family and both of my businesses. So create those systems, create those routines. Remember, your life is crazy because you don't have those routines and systems put in place, and they take time. Work on one system at a time. Get them implemented to the point where they become a habit. Speaking of habits, that brings us to number 3. I make planning a habit and a priority. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, she created a planner. Of course she makes planning a habit and a priority. But let me tell you the truth and the reason why I created my Momtrepreneur planner. And that's because I had gone through so many different planners before, and I just couldn't stick to them. I'd start one all gung-ho, January 1st, super excited, crack open a new planner, start putting everything in there, and by maybe February, March, I had died out and didn't put a single other thing in there. And in my brain, I always thought it was the planner, right? For years, I did this. And so I said, I need to create a planner that works for me, which I did. I love my planner. And you will be able to get free access to the digital, to the printable files very soon. So make sure that, again, you subscribe and you do follow along, because the planner has helped me so much. But more than anything, it helped me realize that it wasn't the planner. It was me. I needed to make planning a habit. I needed to do that. And so how do we create a habit? If you haven't read the book Atomic Habits, do it. Such a good book by Jim Collins. And to create a habit, we need to make it easy. We need to make it accessible. We need to make it sort of in your face. And so what I did was I started carrying around my planner with me everywhere. I was putting it on my desk as soon as I got into my office and opening it up. I had it on my nightstand as soon as I walked into my bedroom. In between, it was on my kitchen counter. So it's making it in your face all the time, but making planning a habit is such an essential part of being a mom and an entrepreneur, because if you don't have a plan, you don't have a purpose for your day, essentially. You're just running around, you're running amok. And not only that, but the mental weight that you carry, again, I'm talking about mental weight. We really need to dive into that deeper. But the mental weight that you carry by not planning things out, it weighs so heavy on your day and will make you drag. And that is such a big thing that so many mom entrepreneurs struggle with, is you just carry so much mental weight that you drag. And so how do you avoid that? You plan. You make planning a habit. You make it a priority. It has to be something that you schedule time. You make time, right? We're the ones who decide what we do throughout our day. And so you need to make time to plan. So I get this question a lot, is how do you plan? How do you plan personal versus business? And to be honest, I do it all in one sitting. So to start, if you're just starting out trying to get into the habit of planning and you really don't know what to do, start with just a blank piece of paper or the note on your phone and brain dump anything and everything out onto paper. And so the way I do it is I have categories. I have a category for the Momtrepreneur Planner. I have a category for Gloria's Garden, which is my other business. I have a category for personal stuff. I have a category for my husband. I have a category for my kids. I have a category for my cabin that me and my husband own. And so what I do is I just sort of put these topics on a piece of paper and I brain dump anything and everything on my mind that has to do with these categories. And so any small tasks, maybe they're big tasks that we've been putting off, and of course they've become bigger because we've put them off, right? But anything that we can think of, you put it under these categories. And then what I do is, this is sort of like my master to-do list, if you want to say that, right? And so I keep that, again, either on a piece of paper or the notes of my phone. Now it's on the notes of my phone. And I have these categories all listed. And each week, every Sunday night, I plan out my entire week. I make sure that I know all of the upcoming appointments that I have. I make sure that I know any big calls or events that I have going on. I make sure that I'm putting in any special dates for that week, any special pickup times or events for my kids. I'm putting in my to-dos, and I'll take those to-dos by priority from that master list and add them into my weekly schedule. And I really only focus on about 10 of these a day. And These are more like action items, right? And so again, another topic for another day will be the difference between an action item and a to-do. And a to-do is just something that has to get done compared to an action item, which is something within our lives or within our businesses that's actually going to move us in the direction of our goals and our vision, right? And so within those 10 items, the majority of them are going to be action items that come from that master list. A few of them might be to-dos, like I need to fold clothes today or wash dishes, right? Nobody likes those, but we got to do them. And so I will pick apart things in that sense and put them on my list of 10 things for today. And the reason why I stick with 10 things is because it should be more than enough to get us through our day, but a little extra to give us that push, right? Like, you're probably not going to get all 10 of these done, but the more you can do, the better work towards it. And so I make this a habit. Again, every Sunday night I do this right before I go to bed. So when I go to sleep, it's sort of on my mind. My gears are already turning in terms of what do I got to do to really make the most of this week. On the other hand, every night I'm just checking, just running checks to make sure, what did I get done? What do I still have to do? And this just helps you become the most productive you can possibly be. And that sort of leads to our next one, because while productivity is the key to being an amazing mom entrepreneur, it's not everything. And so that leads us to number 4. Know the difference between being lazy and resting to recharge, right? Relaxing to recharge. Now, being lazy is a very subconscious thing. We have no control over it. We're just there idling through, rabbit holes like Pinterest, or jumping on Instagram and just spending hours not realizing what we've just done. Binge watching on Netflix, right? And just chilling. Oftentimes after we go through these episodes of laziness, once it's over, you don't necessarily feel like recharged and refreshed. You just feel more lazy, right? And so the flip side of that is actually resting to recharge. And resting could look like actually taking a nap, or maybe just getting some fresh air outside, or reading, or meditating, or doing yoga, or any of those things that are actually and genuinely going to help you recharge your batteries. But knowing the difference between these is massive. And now, don't get me wrong, I enjoy binge watching, the next greatest show just as much as the next person. But giving yourself those dedicated times to do it, setting boundaries, like I'm going to give myself the permission to watch 2 episodes, right? Not an entire season in one night or one sitting, because again, that's just going to drain you. You're going to be tired the next day. So setting those boundaries, setting limits on your screen time in terms of, if you're going to jump on Pinterest, set a 15-minute timer, a 20-minute timer, a 30-minute timer, whatever the case is. If you're going to jump on YouTube or Instagram, set those timers. And if it's just for, I just need to get my brain away from things, and it's just going to be like mindless scrolling, that's fine. Just set a timer. I also have times where I'm very intentional about why I'm jumping on social media. And again, I set a timer, and my intent is I'm going to interact, I'm going to engage, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. And so I set my timer and I go for it. But knowing that difference between being lazy and resting to recharge is huge. And so making sure that you are really clear on those 2 things and not allowing your laziness to just perpetuate, right? So that actually brings us to our next one. So number 5 is setting boundaries. So part of setting boundaries does look like, setting timers for yourself and that type of thing. But setting boundaries can also be saying no to things that are not a priority. And this, guys, this topic can be really huge. One example is volunteering for things, right? Like, I love designing invites and favors and things like that. And so when people ask me to do it, oh yeah, I'll do it because it's fun. But does that really align with my priorities? Is that helping me get to where I want to go? No. And I had to get clear on that in order to really understand. You know, our biggest thing is, I never have time. There's never enough time. Well, there's never enough time because you're saying yes to things that aren't a priority in your life, right? And so setting those boundaries is really, really important. And another example is I was always team mom of my son's t-ball team and soccer team because it's exciting, it's fun. I'm type A personality. I love being super organized. I love, you know, being that leader, that person in charge. And so it was always yes, until I realized, like, my son doesn't care if I'm team mom. All he really cares about is that I'm there and I'm involved to a certain extent. And so I started saying no. And it doesn't, again, I'm not guilty for it. I don't feel guilty for it because I've released that guilt. And so, again, setting these boundaries is really, really huge to help you be able to do the things that you want and need to do in order to really grow your business while simultaneously raising your kids and having that time with your kids, right? Everything has an opportunity cost. So if you say yes to something, what are you saying no to, right? And that's the biggest part of setting boundaries for yourself. All right, number 6, part of setting boundaries is also about surrounding yourself with the right people, okay? So often we will beat ourselves up because of the things other people say, and we do this subconsciously. We don't even realize it. So making sure that you are hanging around with people that genuinely care about what you're doing and want to see you succeed and thrive is so important. Other women, particularly other mom entrepreneurs that want to see you grow and are there to cheer you on as opposed to question everything that you're doing, is so crucial to helping you juggle being a mom and an entrepreneur, because we're going to question ourselves all the time. We don't need other people doing it for us, right? We're going to question ourselves. So we need to make sure that we're surrounding ourselves with people that get it, that are going to be able to say, don't worry, you're not alone, right? I feel you. I understand you. Surround yourself with people like that. Surround yourself with people that are going to support you, that are going to help you, that are going to, you know, watch the kids if you need to put in a couple of extra hours of work. Those are the people that you really need to surround yourself with. And going back to our last one, setting boundaries, is limiting your time with people that don't. Limiting your time with people that aren't supporting you, that aren't helping you get to where you want to go. It's not a bad thing. I've talked about this before. When it comes to relationships, people are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, right? And it is okay. The thing about relationships is they change, they evolve, and it is okay. It's nothing to beat yourself up over. But creating that circle around you, we call it like the 5 most, right? Who are the 5 most people that you hang out with? Because that's going to dictate how you go and how you grow. So being mindful of that is extremely, extremely important. All right, number 7. Really, these last 2 go hand in hand so well. But number 7 is going to be sort of going back to the planning side of things. You know, I break apart my days. I make sure that I know, okay, this part of the day is going to be dedicated to this. These few hours are going to be dedicated to this. From 5 to 8, 9, 9:30, it's, you know, my family, dinner, bath time, bedtime, reading, all of that. My days are broken apart almost by the hour. And you can do this by utilizing things like batching. You can batch content. You can batch video creation. You can batch chores. You can batch accounting, right? You can batch certain things. And so that's one way that you can break apart your time throughout the day, by batching and saying, okay, from 9 to 10, I'm going to do only doing videos, right? From 10 to 12, I'm working on processing orders. And you can break apart your time that way. The other thing that you can do is time blocking, and this is one of my favorite things. I sort of use a mix of both, but by time blocking, I am genuinely just blocking off certain parts of my day. From this time to this time, I'm doing coaching calls. From this time to this time, I'm working in the business. From this time to this time, I'm working on the business. And so you can sort of see how it goes. But overall, the idea is to really have dedicated time, knowing where your time is going. Our time is a non-renewable resource. So sort of like budgeting your money, you have to budget your time. And this is one of the most crucial things to really being able to juggle this crazy life of being a mom and an entrepreneur, is you really have to make sure that you have a good grasp on where your time is being spent. If you don't have a grasp on that, I guarantee you're going to end up going down one of those rabbit holes. You're going to end up feeling way less productive, and you're just going to end up feeling shitty because you're not getting the things done that need to get done. And then when it's time to, spend time with your kids, you're worried about the things that you didn't get done. So this is so important to make sure that you are allocating certain time throughout your day for certain tasks and completing those during those time frames that you say. You owe it to yourself to be able to do that, right? And so this brings us to the grand finale. Number 8. Stop trying to find balance. I despise the word balance. I just cringe when I hear women say, like, oh, I just need to find a work-life balance. Oh, I can't stand it. Because when I think of balance, and this is really more of a mental shift than anything, or a paradigm shift, if you will, you just have to look at it a different way. When I think of balance, I think of a tightrope walker. And while some of y'all might be really talented and be able to do a tightrope, to realistically think that you can manage that day in and day out every single day as a mom entrepreneur is just absurd. So stop trying to find balance. This is definitely a juggle of some sorts that you have to figure out. But more than anything, if you know me, you know that I like to call it a healthy integration. It's that integration between your family life and your business life, because you're one person. And so those essentially are going to intertwine. And the better you are at integrating them, the more beautifully and seamlessly your life will run. But I'm super realistic. I know that my days and my weeks will never go as planned. As a mom and an entrepreneur, these are like two of the most volatile job titles anybody can hold, and we're the crazy ones who think we can, right? And I know we can. I know you can. And so by having these two crazy lifestyles, just understanding that my days and my weeks will never go as planned. And so you're saying, then why plan them, right? But honestly, when you have a plan set in place and you create a habit out of that, and you create systems, and you do all of these things, when things don't go as planned, you have a sense of relief. You don't stress out because you know, like, it's all good. I'll continue the plan the next day. I'll continue doing what I need to do and move on. You don't fall apart and get overwhelmed and stressed out because you have a plan. You have a system in place, and all it is about getting back on that saddle and doing it the very next day. And that is the beauty of having all of these components working together. These 8 things are things that I live by. And if I wanted to give you a bonus item, and something that I always say, give yourself grace, right? Learning to give yourself grace is probably, again, one of those skills that you just have to build. And there's a lot of these type of skills that you need to learn how to build when being a mom entrepreneur. Putting blinders on sometimes is really important as well. Like when we talked about priorities, guys, dishes and laundry are not priorities. And I say that, and I know everybody laughs, but they'll be there tomorrow. I promise you they will. And you have to learn how to put blinders on to certain things, because yeah, you'll get to them, but is getting to them now that important? And the me I used to say, like, I can't function if my house is a mess. I can't function if, there's dishes in the sink. And I've learned through building this skill of putting blinders on that when you have a plan and you have priorities and you are sticking to this, the dishes don't matter, because you know what matters. You know what goals you're working towards. And while you're working towards those goals, if dishes are in the sink, but you're accomplishing something, that's where your work pays off. You'll get to the dishes, you'll get to the laundry, I promise, but that is really where your work pays off, is when you're able to overlook certain things and just keep moving forward. So guys, I want to thank you so much. Again, this is a new channel. I'm excited to get started here, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. And I want to know, what area of being a mom entrepreneur are you struggling with the most? Leave it in the comments below, because I want to interact with you guys. I honestly want to know, what area of mom entrepreneurship are you struggling with the most right now? Because this is a tough journey. And again, I want you to know, you're not alone. We'll talk to you soon, guys. Bye.